know that feeling you have when you know that something is going to flop even before you start that thing? Yes, that was the same feeling I had about my marriage before I even got married. I know that I wasn't going to settle. I know that I wasn't going to allow some things. And when it gets to that point where I'm no longer feeling it, where I have to manage, and where I have to put in the work, I would rather bow out. I would rather bow out than put in the work. Hi Diamond, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Diamond Mom and I film about motherhood, relationship and lifestyle. You're welcome to this YouTube channel. And in today's video, I'll be discussing with you guys something very sensitive, something very important in my life, and something that has set the pace for events that have already happened and events that would still happen in my life. I'll be discussing with you guys how God saved me from being a rebellious wife to the wife that I now am. I'll be discussing with you guys everything that happened, the kind of person I was, and all the events that led to me finally accepting, finally agreeing to bow to the authority. I came in with a lot of baggages into marriage. And in fact, before I got married, my mom was very, very scared. Yes, because she knows the kind of daughter she has. She knows that I'm a very stubborn, I'm very uptight, like I stand by what I want to. Like, no one can actually change me. No one can get me to do something to bow. And in marriage, of course, there is supposed to be compromises. There's supposed to be some times when you're going to have to calm down from your high horses. So my mom knows the kind of daughter that she had. And in fact, there was a particular thing that my mom told my husband at that time, that he should please try and always ignore me, that he knows I'm still a child. Yes, I was 2021 at that time. So my mom told him that he knows I'm still a child, that whenever I start with those my tantrums and those my nasty attitude, that he should please try to ignore me. And he shouldn't take it to heart because I don't always mean them. My mom was really scared about me getting married. In fact, everyone in my family expected me to be like back home, like in 6 months, 1 year into marriage, because they knew it wasn't going to last. I went in with all my baggages. I didn't even think about dropping some or trying to consider what might be the consequences of this in my marriage. No, I didn't even stop to think. And one thing I can still remember about then was that I had a final resolution in my heart that if worse comes to worse, I'm moving, I'm leaving, I'm not going to continue to stay. So I had that open doorway in my mind already about marriage, and I constantly told my husband every time, at every slight opportunity, I would tell him, see, if this thing is, I'm leaving, I'm not even interested, I'm still young, I can go out, I can do this, I can do that. But I never packed my bag yet. It never allowed it to deteriorate to that situation where I had to pack my bag. But I was always defensive, I was always combative, I was always ready to leave, I was always resolute, stubborn, like I'm not going to stoop, I'm not going to do this. Don't get it twisted. I knew that for a marriage to work, you have to be sacrificial, you have to be patient, you have to be kind, you have to be all those good stuffs. But I don't know, somehow, I find myself doing the opposite of these things. However, something spectacular stood out, and my husband would always tell me about this, about those early years, the first 2 years of our marriage. He would always say that in spite of everything I did, in spite of all my nagging, all my tantrums, all my nasty attitude, that one thing that still made him to be patient and to be calm about me is that even after all of these things, when I get calm, I would come to him and try to apologize, try to beg him that I'm sorry. I don't even know what happened. I don't know what came over me and all these things. So the fact that I was always apologizing, even after all these nasty things I did, was actually a sign of hope for him that okay, someday, I'm going to permanently change. But I didn't change. Like, it seems it even got worse by the day. Now, I was very bad, yes, in every sense of the word bad, yes. I would insult, I would nag, I would complain, I would disobey, like on so many situations. If it tells me to do something, I would like I'm not doing it. Nobody, no. If you like, you call my father. Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm not proud of my actions, of my past actions. I would be like, I'm not doing this. If you like, call my father, call my mom. They know that they have a stubborn daughter. So even they might just try to like talk and be like, calm down, listen to this. I'm be like, no, I'm not doing this. I only do something when I want to do it. When I feel like, okay, let me just pity you, let me just calm down. I'm that kind of stubborn. So like, it was that bad. It was that bad. If it was a regular man I got married to, I would have gotten beaten so many times. Like, and it would be justified because even me, man, like this, I'll be like, oh, it serves you right. Yes, because I was that pushy. I was that provocative. And for every little thing he says, I always have something bad, something fireable to say. I don't know if there is any word like fireable, but okay. Like, I had something mean, I had something bad, I had something very, very fierce to say back, and in spite of all these things, it would just look at me then, and laugh and look at me as if I'm just crazy and I'm just being childish. I guess maybe because of what my mom told him, like, he always sees me as being childish, and very soon I'm going to come around. And actually, yes, because very soon when my head calms down, I'll be so ashamed of myself. So I feel like there was a spirit that was actually controlling me then, yes, because you cannot tell me anything. I feel like there is this foul spirit, like there is this spirit that used to possess me, and I'll be like, I will move, I'll not go agree. If you want to scatter, if this marriage wants to spoil, let it spoil until I have my way, until I say everything I want to say, until I do everything I want to do. But then after everything, after the whole quarrel had already died down and I'm calm, I will now be ashamed of myself and be like, wait, did I just do that? So I will be so ashamed of myself, and I will go back to him and apologize. In fact, it has even gotten to the time where it will be like, don't worry, I know that you will still do it again, no problem. I'll be like, no, I won't do it again. So I've continued to promise, and I even started to cry to God that, God, please change me. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be bad. I don't want to be nagging. I don't want to be that bitter person. I don't want to be disobedient. I want to be a kind person to my husband, because I'm usually kind to outsiders. I'm usually gentle towards outsiders. But when it comes to my partner, the person that I'm supposed to be extending the number one kindness to, I'm usually always combative, always defensive. If you do I don't even want to. I feel like there was this spirit always in charge of me, always controlling me and directing all of those things. So I started to pray to God. I would pray to God that, God, please, I don't want this. I'm sorry for doing this. I don't want to do this again. But it seemed as if even after praying to God, I would still go back into that same attitude. I would still go back and, mess up. And like every time, the cycle continues. And then one day, on our court marriage day, there is this marriage calendar that was given to us that day about what a wife should do to her husband and what a husband should do for his wife. It had about 20 different things each, with a Bible verse. You have to wash for your husband, you have to respect your husband, you have to love your wife, you have to provide for her. Relevant verse there. So I brought it out, and then I started to, read it. I started to study it, and I'm like, God, all these things are in the Bible. And then it dawned on me that I'm not even supposed to respect my husband because I should respect him. It dawned on me that I'm supposed to respect my husband first of all because God wants that for me. Because God wants me to respect. Like, I actually studied different verses there because it was like a whole lot, 20 different things that you have to do for your husband. So we started to open my eyes to see that I have been rebelling against God, and that all of these things I feel like I've been doing to Him is because I'm seeing my husband as a mere man or as a mere husband. I'm not seeing him as someone that God placed for me to actually report to. So I'm seeing him as a mere man, and that's why I have been able to go on with all those my nasty attitude and all those stuff. So I started to pray to God for him to open my eyes, because see, even after that, I still went back. Mhm. I still went back. I was still nagging. I was still disrespectful. I was still rebellious. Like, if I should open up my mouth to speak, the things that would come out of my mouth will be deliberate things that will be deliberate, hurtful words that are meant to tear him apart. Even after knowing that God does not want me to do all these things, I continued. But then I would still, go back to God, confess to Him, and be like, God, please forgive me. I don't want to do this. Please, I want you. Help me. Help me. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to do that. This thing actually continued for so long until finally I had to take that bold step. Like, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I cannot continue doing this to someone. I cannot continue being deliberately rebellious. I cannot continue to allow myself to be used by whatever spirit. I don't care, because it is because I'm even availing myself for that spirit to come and possess. That is why that spirit of rebellion is even getting hold of me. So I decided to be intentional, and I took that decision. And then there is this particular Bible verse also that also stood out for me, and it's like, no, 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 because I cannot joke with my relationship with God, and these things actually affect my relationship with God. And that Bible verse is in Romans chapter 13 verse 1 to 2. I'm going to quickly read it out for us to hear. Romans chapter 13, verse 1 to 2. Let everyone be subject to the authorities, for there is no authority that does not come from God, and the existing ones have been established by God. He who therefore resists authority goes against the order established by God, and those who resist deserve to be condemned. Now, these two verses opened up my eyes to see that, first of all, my husband is an authority, yes, because in Ephesians chapter 5, we see there that God has already ordained. This one is not man. God has already ordained for the husband to be the head of his wife, therefore making him a leader, making him an authority. So if we are to talk about authorities, the civil authorities and government and all those things, then I believe that our husbands also fall under that same authority. So here now I understand that God wants me to be submissive to authority, and in every aspect, in every institution, there is an authority, whether you like it or not. In a school, you have authorities, the principals, the board of directors. In every company, you have authorities. In the hospital, you have authorities. In the church, there are authorities. In your family, your father and your mother are your authorities. And marriage also, there are authorities also. In marriage, there is an authority rather. And God has made it to be that the husband is the authority. There is no two ways about it. There is nothing that you can argue from today till tomorrow. There is no justification as to why the husband should not be regarded in that state of authority. Now, these two verses opened up my eyes to see that it is the will of God for me to submit to that authority in marriage. And if I say I don't want to submit, or that I wouldn't submit, then I am rebelling against God. Mhm. Yes, I am rebelling against God. And you know what happens to all those who rebel against God? You know that, first of all, your relationship with Him is actually, tampered and all those stuff. So it then dawned on me that, God, so for all these times, for all this period I have been doing all these things, I have not even been like disobeying only my husband. I have been disobeying you firsthand, because you're the one that has placed this same authority. In that same Ephesians 5, here we see that Christ is the head of the husband, and then the husband is the head of the wife. So if your husband is submitting to Christ or not, it doesn't concern you. Yes, it doesn't concern you because everyone would answer for their own. But you are meant to submit to your husband, bearing in mind that your husband is submitting to a greater authority, which you are also submitting to. But that authority says that you should submit to this man that has been placed over you as your head, that you chose or that was chosen for you by somebody, as the case may be. I saw that there was no need for me to keep on apologizing. In fact, I became so terribly ashamed of myself. Like, because I mean, apologizing, I kept on apologizing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this. But the next minute, the next provocation, the slightest provocation, I would still. So I started to discipline myself. Yes. Since I know that, okay, I don't want to avail myself to that spirit of rebellion again, I started to discipline myself. So every day I would try to do better. Every day I would, pray to God and remind Him to help me because I am also committed into this. I want to change for good. And every day it became like a journey. And it started to be clear to me that as I have been liberated from this, as I have been liberated from this spirit of rebellion, that it is for a purpose, and I'm meant to also help other women out of rebellion. Because see, there are so many women out there that are still ignorant of the facts that rebelling against your husband is rebellion against God. Straight up, there is no sugarcoating it. There are so many women currently in this same situation that don't know that they're actually doing something bad. And it began to be so clear to me that I have been liberated from this for a purpose. And the same way I have come to this understanding is the same way I should bring out more women, because there are so many women that don't know that. And this is actually coming from being there because I have been there. So if there is anyone that should actually combat this same rebellion, waging war against marriage, it should be someone that had been under that same bondage. So I have been liberated from this, not just for liberating sake, not just because okay, I disciplined myself or I became matured or this and that. There are so many people that have gone 10 years in marriage, 15 years, 20 years, but they are still under the same bondage of rebellion. Yes, rebellion is a bondage. It is a spirit, a bad spirit that is out there to make more women disobey God. Because everything that you would ever do in marriage is going to be accounted unto God. So rebellion is a foul spirit that is out there. It is like a cankerworm. And so many women see it to be like liberation or being fighting for what rightfully belongs to them, or not succumbing to they try to sugarcoat these things. And now thinking about it, I want to believe that God was actually deliberate about my husband. Yes, because if I had gotten married to a man that wasn't patient like him, if I had gotten married to a man that was the same way I was, then we would have killed ourselves. Maybe I would have killed him or he would have killed me, or would have separated, we would have embarrassed ourselves so much. But I believe that God planned it out, like even before I even knew about anything about rebellion or marriage. God was actually intentional about choosing this particular man for me, that would actually be so patient and watch me grow, help me grow and be calm for me to actually grow and learn on the job. Because there are so many women that are not fortunate, that are not lucky to actually learn on the job. I learned inside marriage, I didn't learn outside of marriage. I learned inside marriage, and there are few men that would be this patient, that wouldn't have, given you backhand slap like all your face. They would have designed it for you. They would have was. But like in all those provocations, he would just look at me and be smiling. Then sometimes it will be so, sad and so terrible. And all those things, like he never actually became violent or even tried, he never tried to be physical on me. And I believe that God was actually intentional, because God wanted me to learn on the job. He wanted me to learn very fast, of course, because I learned very fast. There are so many women that are 10 years gone, 15 years gone in marriage, and they still don't know, they are still under the bondage of rebellion in marriage. But I learned fast actually. In 2 years, I was already, aware. So I'm not going to keep quiet. I'm not going to stay calm. I'm not going to continue to watch so many women go down in rebellion by the day. There is a task ahead, and that task is not an easy one, yeah, because it's not easy for you to convince a woman that being strong headed, that being disobedient, that being so adamant is bad. It's not easy. There are so many structures out there that are even leading women more and more into rebellion. There are so many structures, there are so many people propagating women. Go on, continue, you're doing well, don't let him do this, don't let him, like, putting up fights where there should not be fights. So there are so many structures, but God is actually raising up people one by one. He's actually raising up messengers, raising up servants that would also go and fight this battle for him, because there is a battle. There is a battle against marriage that needs to be won. And I cannot continue to keep quiet. I cannot continue to let women trail that same path that I once trailed, because I've been there and I've seen that, they pay. Like, it doesn't pay, it's not worth it. The stress, the lack of peace, the everything. So there is an assignment, there is a task, there is work, there is job to be done in the ministry of marriage, bringing out wives out of rebellion one by one. And this video is me just coming out to put it out there to you that you need to know, first of all, because people perish for lack of knowledge. If you don't know that resisting the authority of your husband in marriage, that rebelling against your husband in marriage is the same thing as rebelling against God, and you want to be a woman after God's own heart, and you want to be a woman of God, there can be no woman of God when you are not submitting to the authority that God has stipulated for you to submit to. So the authority in marriage, you need to submit to that authority. After the authority of God, the next authority you're meant to submit to as a married woman is not even your father or your mother. It's not even your pastor. The next authority is the authority of your husband, and whether you like it or not, it must be adhered to. God's words must be obeyed. Thank you guys for watching. Please let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I'll be there to reply and to interact with you guys. If you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I'll be bringing more videos like this on how to deal with rebellion in marriage and how to make sure that every wife obeys God's authority in marriage. And also give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.